So, I'm really close to finishing 12 masteries and the plan is pretty simple. I have to complete all of them in under 24 hours. I will start from my least liked, my favorite brawler, and the first one is Crow. He's currently at 24,187 mastery points and 840 trophies. I have only played him on Gem Grab. The map was Rustic Arcade. Surprisingly, this push wasn't that hard, even though Crow isn't the strongest brawler right now and without the hypercharge isn't fun to play. All you do is sit on max range and poison your enemies till you destroy their mental well-being. The only exciting thing about Crow is his super and the plays you can make with it, but you don't get it that often throughout the game. Also, he's not really a carry brawler, so I had to rely on my randoms a lot of the time, which you can guess how it went. So you might wonder, why did I even master him? The answer is pretty simple. He used to be really meta a few months ago, and during Power League days I had to play him so my enemies didn't get him. But anyways, I was still able to get to one game away from Gold 3 Mastery. It was pretty simple. We were up against Max, Carl and Eve. I went right lane and all I did was spam my main attack for a whole minute and gadget till we got the countdown. My Jhin hit a clean double hypercharge pull which secured the win and finished this push. So now let's move on to the next brawler I have to master, which is Bow. I started to play him on 24,616 mastery points and 966 trophies, so this push shouldn't be long, right? Well, I decided to play 5v5 Brawl Ball, and let me tell you, playing this mode with randoms is such a joke. Your teammates have much lower trophies than you, enemies are 90% of the time at 1200 plus, and the underdog just doesn't exist. The losses were just coming in one after another, but that didn't stop me from gaining mastery. It's not that hard to get star player as Bow, which maybe doesn't give you insane amounts of points, but it got me to one game away. In the end, I was able to get that win and finished this push, but in total I lost 34 trophies. Anyways, now let's move on to the next brawler I have to master, Buzz. He's currently at 24,746 mastery points and 999 trophies. To make it a bit different, I decided to complete this mastery in Showdown and I got extremely lucky. I somehow didn't get a single kit in my lobby, but a lot of cores which Buzz isn't terrible against. For the early game, I just charged my super from this guy. No idea how that's in range, to be honest. Then I was trying to avoid my counters and focus cords, but because I am a bad Buzz didn't work and then I just sat in this bush. That got me to top 4, which already was enough, but because I'm playing Showdown, I have to grief others and I got a free kill on this cord. Then I ended up in a 1v2 against these primos, but you can tell they are Showdown mains, so their mechanics are questionable. At the end, they were just spamming all time and one primo killed the other, which secured me a second place. That was obviously enough to master Buzz. So now let's master another brawler on my list, which is Cordelius. I started this push on 24,356 mastery points and 888 trophies. I played him on Hot Zone and the map was Parallel Plays. Playing Hot Zone with randoms is one of the worst mental tortures you can experience, and with 2 zones on this map, people have no idea what they are supposed to do. But after a while, I was able to gain some momentum, and wins were flying in, which put me one game away from Gold 3. Obviously, lost the first one, but the second game was a bit different. We played against Cord, Buzz, and Tick, which was a free win. I begged someone with a bit of popularity to explain that Tick isn't good in Hot Zone. I don't know who is the person that started this movement, but it's honestly embarrassing. This brawler is arguably usable on maybe one Hot Zone map, which is Split, but apart from that, he provides no value. Anyways, this win got me Gold 3 Mastery, and now I could finally move on to the next brawler, Charlie. She's currently at 24,505 mastery points and 941 trophies. The game mode I decided to play on was Knockout on New Horizons. Knockout randoms are also special people, especially the ones playing Kit. When I was playing Hank, every Kit played aggro, but when I'm playing Charlie, every Kit was jumping on me. Make it make sense. Anyways, after several losses, I managed to find these 2 guys, Lucas and Berk. They were playing Fang plus Kit and it was going really well. They weren't trolling any games, which got me to one game away from mastering Charlie. This game was against Mandy, Angelo and Rico, a very free matchup. In the first round we basically ran through them, but the second round was a lot closer. We were left in a 2v2, but our enemies had no awareness, so Fang got a free super. I also supered Mandy, and from this point it was impossible to lose. And I got Gold 3 on Charlie. What's crazy is that the maps rotated after this match, so we got it in the last game possible. Anyways, let's go to the next brawler, Pam. I started to play her on 24,233 mastery points and 746 trophies. After looking at maps, I had to go back to Rustic Arcade, but the push was very frustrating. A lot of people on lower ladder have no idea how to play this mode, and everyone just wants to play mid for no reason. Twinning wasn't that easy because Pam isn't a carry brawler and I couldn't rely on my mates. A lot of them had very creative ideas like getting gems with Fang and then dying, or were just useless as a whole. But after these experiences, I got to one game away from Gold 3 Mastery and at least this one was free. My teammates were Piper and Nani. They played pretty well. I didn't take mid because Piper is better and luckily he had hands. So we had control for the whole game, and after this clean TP kill from Nani, we got the countdown. But the game wasn't over yet. My Piper refused to go to spawn and went for the 10th gem. It's a good play, but because he's a random, you can never trust. After this jump, I thought he threw, but luckily the other Piper is horrendous, and that got me to gold 3 mastery. Let's move on to the next brawler, which is Buster. He's currently at 24,227 mastery points and 897 trophies. So I started playing him on knockout. The map was between the rivers. Buster is a really strong brawler right now, especially in knockout. His super counters most of the meta sharpshooters, and his damage is enough to free tap them. The wins were flying in, and I was getting star player most of the time, which was a good boost to mastery. During the push, I also had some interesting moments, like I got this Jin on my team and we won the game, but the next game he was on the enemy side and of course I lost. It has to be one of the worst feelings, but to be fair he played well, so I couldn't even be mad. I still got to one game away from mastering Buster and it was super easy. We were up against Mortis, Angelo and Colt, so not the worst matchups. First round our Brock was trolling, but we got the Mortis, and after that the Colt, leaving Angelo in a 1v2 scenario. He had no chance. Second round was even easier. This Colt ran into me for no reason, then I got the Angelo with my gadget and only Mortis was left, who folded pretty fast. So that got me to gold 3 mastery. Let's move on to the next brawler, Bonnie. I started this push on exactly 24,500 mastery points and 895 trophies. The game mode I decided to play on was Heist on GG Mortuary. It's not the best map to play with randoms because you need a Colt to break open this wall, but even if you get a Colt on your team, they would always go for this one. It's not the worst play unless the enemies also have Colt and a good base race comp. But Bonnie is luckily a very good Heist brawler and winning was pretty free. People playing Heist nowadays are so clueless, and because of that I only lost 2 games in total. And in no time I was able to get to last game to gold 3 mastery. It was very close. We had a great start dealing over 70% of the save in seconds, but after that it all went downhill. The enemy team had a great counter and they got 61% of our save down. After that they got a Melody super and a Crow hypercharge, which I knew was a lot of damage. I decided to go for their save and it was insanely close. With only 2% left on their save we lost, which was unfortunate, but luckily I only needed mastery points from star player and that's how I mastered the point. Let's move on to the next brawler, Tara. She's currently at 24,457 mastery points and 870 trophies. The game mode I decided to play her on was Brawl on Retina. This isn't a bad map for Tara, but you need to be always ready for a BB or Jackie to just run at you from any bush. I lost the first game, but after that I got a bit more familiar with the map and wins started to come in quickly. Games here are pretty fast most of the time and that was really helpful for mastery, but the last game was very long. We are against a pretty hard matchup and we were getting really lucky throughout the game. We were mostly defending and hoping for a counter attack. The enemies were also throwing really hard and I was hitting some nice pulls. But in the last seconds, before overtime, we were able to get out of our spawn and BB scored the goal, which made me a Tara master. Let's move on to the next brawler, Penny. I started this push on 24,566 mastery points and 863 trophies. I decided to play her on Rustic Arcade and it wasn't the easiest push from this video. Playing Penny was fun, but the problem was my randoms. The throwing was getting a bit out of hand and I had a lot of problems to win a game. After the first win, I was luckily only one more away from finishing this push and it was a crazy game. We were up against Byron, Edgar and Angelo. We had a really good start. I got a kill on this Edgar and I got my super quickly after. From this point, my main goal was to protect my mortar while also trying not to die. The game looked like a free win. It was 9-0 and we got a countdown, but our Colt instantly folded. Now, we couldn't really get out of spawn trap because enemies were outchanging us really hard. They played really well and managed to catch up, making it 8-8. They got the 9th gem, but that's when we managed to push them back, making it 9-9. Here, our Charlie died, dropping all the gems, but luckily enemies couldn't go for them. After that, we got the countdown and Colt killed their Byron, which pretty much secured this win. That got me to gold 3 mastery, so now let's go and master Carl. He's currently at 24,425 mastery points and 829 trophies. For this push, I decided to go back to Heist on GG Mortuary. Every game I would just hope for a Colt on my team to open up the walls and I was getting lucky. The strat was basically to base race every single game. It was working pretty well. We only lost one game and the wins were very fast. In pretty much no time I got to the last game and it was very close. We were against Colt, Mandy and Khaled. Started off like every game. Both Colts went for these side walls and forced a base race. The enemy team was defending though, but it wasn't successful at all. We got more damage in total. We get get it down to 16%, but the enemy team had a good counter opportunity. Colette was about to hypercharge our safe, ending the game, but we luckily got her and only Shadow dealt damage. Now the game was even, so we had to defend. Luckily my Edgar got a kill and a hypercharge right after, but it still wasn't enough to finish the game. The enemy started throwing after that and Edgar managed to get the last 3%. This push was finally done, and now let's move on to the last brawler, Jean. I started this push on 24,441 mastery points and 804 trophies. To make it a bit different, I decided to play Wipeout. The map was the Great Open. In my first game, I found this team, Lee and XX, I don't know how to read that. We won that match 10-0, so we just pressed play again. We won the next game and that put me one game away from mastery. It started pretty bad. Our bell got pulled and I overpicked. Then the Piper traded with their Piper, so it was 1-3. After that we got a double kill and they only got one, so we started to catch up. Then I pulled air, but our bell popped off and got a double kill. From this point we were holding onto our lead, and with 20 seconds left it was 8-5. So it was basically impossible to lose. We got 2 last kills and that finished this whole push. Now I will claim all of the titles I got, which boost my collection to 20 in total. If you would like to see me master 2 of the worst brawlers, click on the left video for Dag and on the right video for Hank.